Hello and welcome. Today we're going to take a tour through one of the most basic yet critical processes in any business, paying your bills. But we're going to see how a really powerful system like Dynamics 365 completely transforms that simple task into a smart, structured, and almost automatic journey. So here's our game plan. We're going to follow an invoice from start to finish, hitting 4 key milestones. First, how it gets into the system, then the really clever part, how the system figures out when to pay it. After that, we'll get into the actual payment process, and we'll wrap up by making sure everything adds up perfectly in the end.
All right, first things first, let's talk about how a payable, a bill we've got to pay, actually makes its way into the system. This is the starting line. This is where it all kicks off.
So every single bill begins its life as what the system calls a source document. Think of it like a birth certificate for that debt. The second that document gets posted, it does something really important. It creates 2 entries that are perfectly linked, one for the vendor in the accounts payable module and another in your main financial books. This means right from the get-go, everything is in sync, no mismatches. And the cool thing here is how flexible this system is. It's not some rigid one-size-fits-all process. You can start this whole journey with different kinds of documents. A formal vendor invoice, sure, but also simpler things like an invoice register or even a general journal. This is huge because it means the system adapts to how you do business, not the other way around. Okay, so the invoice is in the system. Now what? Well, we hit the next critical step, figuring out the exact day we need to pay it. And like it says right there, this isn't about just looking at a calendar and picking a date. Oh no, it's a full-blown calculation. So, how in the world does a system nail this down so precisely? Well, it's not by having someone just type a date into a box, because that's where mistakes happen, right? Instead, it uses this really smart, layered set of rules to figure out the perfect payment date. It's all about precision, not guesswork. The whole calculation process kicks off with something called the terms of payment. This is the bedrock. It's the basic deal you have with your vendor. Is it net 30? Is it due at the end of the month? Cash on delivery? This is rule number 1, and it sets the stage for everything else. And here you can just see the logic laid out. It's like a waterfall. It's this brilliant, multi-step process. It starts with the invoice date, that's our baseline. Then, boom, it applies your vendor's payment terms. But it doesn't stop there. Next, it looks at your company's schedule. Maybe you only cut checks on certain days. And finally, it checks the bank's calendar, so you don't accidentally schedule a payment for a public holiday. Each step refines the date until it's perfect. Now, this is a really key distinction to get. Payment days, that's all about your internal rhythm. Maybe your company's policy is we only process payments on Thursdays. That's your schedule. But the payment calendar, that's about the outside world. That's the bank holidays, the weekends, days when money just isn't moving. For the system to be truly accurate, it absolutely has to respect both. So why do we care about all this nitty-gritty detail? Well, it's simple. It hits the bottom line. This level of precision means you're not paying late fees, you're keeping your vendors happy, and this is the big one. You get a crystal clear picture of your future cash flow. You know exactly what money is going out and when. So this system has done the math and figured out the perfect day to pay. Fantastic. What's next? Well, now we get to the main event, actually making the payment. We're officially moving from calculation to action. Look, paying one invoice is no big deal. But what about when you have hundreds of them, thousands of them, coming in every single week? That's when it becomes a nightmare. That's when mistakes get made, things fall through the cracks. It's just controlled chaos. And that is the exact problem that a system like this is built to solve. And the system's brilliant answer to all that chaos is something called the payment proposal. You can honestly think of it like your personal smart assistant. You just tell it, hey, show me everything that's due to be paid by this Friday. And bam! Instantly, it pulls together a clean, organized list for you. This is the absolute heart of paying bills at scale, efficiently. And the workflow here is it's beautiful. The system does all the heavy lifting, gathering all the right invoices. But you, the human, you're still in the driver's seat for the most important step, the review and approval. Once you look it over and give the thumbs up, the system takes care of the rest, creating the payment files and posting everything to the books. It's the perfect blend of automation and human control. This quote really just nails it. The key word here is fetches. The system isn't just showing you a dumb list. It is actively going out and grabbing only the transactions that meet your exact criteria. This one feature turns what could be a tidal wave of invoices into one single, clean, manageable payment journal. But hold on, the journey isn't quite over just because the money's been sent. We're now at the final
And you could argue the most critical chapter of all, making absolutely sure that the books always balance.
This is the question that gives accountants nightmares. What happens if the detailed list of who you owe money to, your accounts payable, somehow doesn't match up with your main financial record, the general ledger? That's a huge problem. But this is exactly why D365 has specific tools built right in, designed to catch these things before they become a massive headache.
The system gives you these incredible reports that act like a health check for your finances. The vendor-to-ledger reconciliation report, for example, is your rearview mirror. It looks backward and confirms that every single detail in AP perfectly matches the big picture in the general ledger. Then you have reports like the vendor aging report, which is your windshield. It lets you look forward to plan your cash needs and see what's coming up.
But at the end of the day, the goal isn't just to find errors, it's to prevent them from ever happening in the first place. That's why it's a best practice to basically lock down these important accounts. You make it so that no one can just make a manual entry. Every single transaction has to go through the proper, controlled process we've just talked about. That's how you maintain rock-solid data integrity. So let's wrap this up. What are the big takeaways? First, a modern system like D365 treats paying bills as a structured, logical journey, not just a bunch of random entries. Second, due dates are based on calculation, not assumption. Third, it's all about automation with control. The system does the work, but you have the final say. And finally, the philosophy is trust but verify, using powerful built-in reports to make sure everything is always spot on. And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. When you have a system that is this smart, a system that can handle the what and the when of payments so incredibly well, it completely changes the game. It frees up the finance team to stop being just processors of data and to start being true financial strategists for the business.